Hello, this is Cynthia Mazzaferro with Powerful Beyond Measure, and once again, I'm interviewing a fabulous author. Her name is Ginny Gane. How are you, Ginny?
Hi, I'm awesome. How are you doing?
I'm very well, and she is the new author of The Champion Mindset, and we're going to go into and exploring what it is to have a mindset to allow us to be a champion.
Ooh,
So
that's
I'm
exciting.
so excited to have you here today. Let me
And
just say a couple of words about Ginny before we get into her book. Ginny is the best-selling author and is an adventurous, fun-loving law of attraction expert for people who create more out of their life and are ready to realize their full potential. A world traveler, she teaches you law of attraction skills and guides you how to purposefully create a life you are widely in love with. So that sounds fabulous.
bios are
First of
awesome,
all,
aren't they?
what was that?
I said bios are awesome, aren't they?
Yes. Well, I like short ones because we really want to get into the nuts and bolts of the story, and people can
Absolutely.
actually listen to and read your lengthy bio if they really want to by going to your website.
Yeah.
So let me ask you first, what made you want to write this book?
Oh my goodness. So, as so many authors, I'm sure as yourself, you want to get that message out there. It's just like something bigger than you is calling you, saying like, okay, this is why you're here. This is what, and I always found that so interesting how like something that you are so passionate about talking, you naturally talk about. It's just this opportunity to say, okay, this is helping, then let's get it in front of more people.
But did you also have something happen for you personally in your life that made you have to have a certain type of mindset to be a champion or to succeed in some part of your life that makes you an expert to write this book?
So the law of attraction, when I first learned about it, I was traveling in Australia for a year. And that's when I first learned about law of attraction. And it was something that's just so deeply resonated with me. Like, when you just get it. And
Mhm.
it was easy for me. So I started applying the principles. My life started changing, getting everything I want. And then it was just like, that's my life. And then when you start realizing and seeing the struggle that others are going through and understanding, then I started to learn the science behind it, right? And then so my life was just, I feel so blessed that it was the way it was. I mean, I've been practicing these techniques since I was 9 years old, when I was put in a, train your mind course. And I didn't realize that everybody didn't know this. And so it's so empowering when you do. And so it was the years of practice, honestly, and the ease of which I understand it. And that's the biggest feedback I get, is that when people read the book or they're saying, or they're coaching with me and they're saying, you just make it so simple, like I've listened to it before, but now I get it and how I can use it in my life.
Great. So what is the law of attraction and what is the science behind it?
Well, that's a very large question.
Well, condense it.
So to keep it really, really simple, I know probably everyone has heard the idea of the like attracts like. And so it's the second phase to that usually is around, okay, we'll think positive thoughts. But as you know, in your book, you talk about how it's more than just what you're thinking. It's how you're being. It's the energy you are sending out to the world. And whatever you're being, that's what you're going to attract. So it's not, you can have a positive thought and you still feel negative about it. You know what I mean? And so you're going to attract how you're feeling. And that's, I think, the biggest thing that most people don't understand or realize, and how much power and how much control they have, right?
Exactly. And I love that
Yeah.
because so often people say, well, I think positive. How come
Exactly.
this doesn't happen? How come that didn't happen? And I'm like, well, you say you think positive, but do you really imagine it? Can you really feel what it would feel like? Can you really feel that you're going to be blessed with that?
Yes.
With that expectation. So I agree with you. It's more than just thinking. If it was that easy, or just writing a perfect affirmation statement or an intention,
Right.
everybody would be getting everything instantaneously. And it is
Absolutely.
more. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you point that out, because it is so much about Yeah, you're right. If everyone can think positive, but can you choose to keep your focus on things that make you feel good and choose to continuously, when everything seems, bad or negative around you, to remain in that positive place of optimism or openness that, okay, it's some way, I can't see it yet, but this is going to be good.
It is. And I also like to think, even though there's law of attraction, there's also divine timing. And so
Absolutely.
sometimes we, in our small mind, think that we need it now and want it now. But the higher universe, divine timing, will say it actually will best serve you maybe in 2 weeks. So
Yes.
sometimes we become impatient for it. And it
And it's
all
learning to enjoy that part, right?
yeah.
So if we learn to enjoy those 2 weeks, see, if someone said, hey, you're going to get it in 2 weeks, then we could relax and say, okay, well, I'll enjoy the journey. And we can choose to do that. We can choose to trust in that and imagine how much more relaxed and easy it would be if we just did that instead of, okay, I got to make this happen. And what if it doesn't happen? And how do I do it? And
Exactly. I love it. Okay, so why did you choose the title, The Champion Mindset?
Oh, it's interesting. I remember exactly when I was sitting on the couch trying to come up with a title, and this one popped into my head, and it was a matter of the law of attraction. It had actually come to me months before when I was in actually a cycling class, and the topic came up, and it was a bunch of women, and we were talking about mindset and how important it is. And somebody had said, like, yeah, you need to have a champion mindset. And then my next thought was, oh, I should do a course. I should offer a course and it entitled The Champion Mindset. And champion being like, not necessarily in athletics, but just in life, like to be that, to get the most out of life and to be fulfilling. And that's where that came from. And it was perfect.
Well, I have one of my sons was a very high level athlete. He actually went to the Olympic trials and dove internationally for the United States. And he actually did platform diving, which is off the high cement block.
Yeah.
And, he went to Auburn University and they were national championships. But I bring this up because, when you think about a champion, you often think about the athletics. And that particular school, his university went to, really actually worked on the athletes to train their mind to think and be and walk as if you were the champion, creating that expectation, that aroma, that panache, that you're already achieving something you haven't even achieved, but that you walk that stride. And I think
that is so exciting.
Yeah, it's kind of like what you're saying about that being and being present of that. And that's really what an athlete does that excels. A basketball player throws 1,000 layups to get it so that it's perfected. And so there's a confidence, there's an aptitude, an attitude that you're going to excel, and so that is that energy, the law of attraction you're putting out in the world that is going to come back to you because you believe it.
Exactly. That is like the perfect example. It's really clear to see in athletics. I think it's great to use athletic examples because when he's walking around acting as the champion and he's feeling it, that's what he's sending out to the universe. So that's what the law of attraction matches his feeling.
Right.
And so he brings in experiences, ideas that are going to lead him to that champion place.
Exactly. So what is the biggest challenge that you find that comes up for people mostly?
Well, a lot of people get stuck trying. They think there's a lot of work to do to make this happen when it's because we're a society trained in action. You want something, okay, what am I going to do to get it? And it's the same when people come into the law of attraction. They hear, oh, there's this magic way I can manifest what I want. And then they go to work to try to make it happen. And I think one of the biggest switches is getting to that place where you realize you have to allow it to happen. You have to just open up. And it is about managing and practicing your thoughts to get you to that receiving place versus the forcing it or making it place.
Right. And the other part, if I can add to it, is that some of it's not your action. It's timing and allowing other action to come to you. which is that attraction, that what you're sending out, you're allowing other events, resources, people to come into your life to allow the bigger picture to be seen and to be manifested. And so during that time, sometimes we have to, if we're like taking down the tracks on a railroad track, and steaming, this is my action, I'm going forward to get to this destination, and you haven't stopped at 3 of the depots on the way to pick up the resources you need, to pick up the people that are supposed to help get you to that final destination, you're not going to get to that final manifestation of that desired goal. And so it's really important, right, to realize that part of this attraction is that you're not sterile. It's not that you're the only one that's creating this through your thoughts and feelings, that there is a matching that's going on that's magnetic and it's energetic, right?
Yes, absolutely. So our work is to identify what it is, the feeling that we want to be feeling and experiencing. And then our work is to line up with that within ourselves, because we can only ever affect ourselves and change our own vibration. So when we become, it's along the way, it's along that train track that you're shifting vibrations and slowly coming into alignment. And then when you get there, it's a match and it finds you.
And have you ever found that people, as they get closer to the realization of it, that because of the complexity, because of the unknown, now you're like, oh, well, if I get it, well, how will people see me? How will they view me? Will it be successful? All of a sudden, they don't want to walk through that last, destination to get there. Yeah. And so that always brings up, be careful what you ask for, because you may not like what you get.
Oh, no, I never say that.
I've had people say, I want to buy a new house and I want it to be by the water. And they get this new house and it's a little babbling brook there. And before you know it, every spring it swells and their basement floods. So you want to be careful how you frame what you desire and what the benefits will be. And it is important to really be clear, because I find even working with my clients that when you ask them what do they want, it's the uncertainty, the disclarity of what they want is actually part of the fog that really impacts them, where they don't get what they want because they're not clear.
Yeah, that's why I think it's so important it's such a great question, right? It really gets that thing, like, what do you really want? And a lot of people have trouble with that. And it always goes back to, if we focus, because the universe speaks in vibration, if we focus on how it feels, okay, well, I might not know the exact house or the exact place I want it, but I know I'm going to feel peaceful in it. I know it's going to feel abundant, and I'm going to walk in the door and feel amazing and proud of my house. And if you can focus on those feelings, then you let the universe bring you stuff that matches it. And you don't even have to decide.
I so agree with you with the word. You keep using feelings, and that's such an important word for me, because we often hear mind, body, spirit. The mind, the body, the physical, and the spirit. And nowhere in there is emotions. And emotions is that feeling component. How does it make you feel? What you want. And to me, it's a very integral component to finding inner happiness and external happiness in your life. So let's move on. This is really fun. This is great. So why is self-talk an aspect that you feel is really important in leveraging that law of attraction?
It's so foundational. It's hard to explain the importance until you guys start to become aware, or people who are, following you probably already are, of there's this inner dialogue happening in my head. And what happens is we listen to that, so our beliefs are formed from these thoughts that we're thinking over and over in our heads. And so you're going to respond if you're constantly saying to yourself about the world, oh, this is a safe place, this is a safe place, then you're going to believe, and you're going to develop those beliefs inside you. And then your reality is created based on that. So this self-talk is so important, because you're going to create what you're believing, what you're constantly repeating and saying in your head, whether it's in your head or out loud, you're creating that. It's that continuous attention.
Exactly. And I think it's not even just what we self-talk, meaning the verbal talk, whether it's quietly to yourself or externally.
Right.
It's everything. It's your arm language. It's how all of our senses, how are we hearing the environment? You're talking about living in a safe place. Okay. So how do we hear safety in your home? What does that sound like? Are you hearing like, when am I going to hear the gunshot? Or when am I going to hear a loud, abrasive conversation? Or do you hear, oh, I can hear the birds and the wind upon my window panes. And, I hear the melody from someone upstairs or something. So you kind of create this energy, this, what you're experiencing yourself, but also what you're bringing to you. And so, of course, it comes with all of our senses. And so that's what's really important for us to engage all of them when we start to really walk this path of law of attraction and really creating that, because you are already, what people don't realize, and I think you'll agree with me, is that you're actually already creating exactly what you want by using all your senses.
Absolutely.
So it's not even something where you're actually getting to, because it's kind of like you're putting all the ingredients in to make a cake, where you're putting them all in, and as you're putting them in, you're getting closer and closer to this wonderful masterpiece, this delicate thing you're going to eat. So the same thing is like, hearing and seeing this serene environment is already giving you a safe respite. And you're almost not looking for one, because you're already part of one. And so it's amazing, because it's so important. I'm sure you agree with this too, that that you hold your clients. The individual has to take responsibility for this. It's their ownership of what they're creating, right?
Oh my gosh, best point ever. Like, you cannot create your reality until you take responsibility for what's happening inside you.
Oh gosh, say that again. I love that quote.
Well, you can't experience the success you want, manifesting everything you want, until you take responsibility for what's happening inside you.
Yeah. So everybody has to hear that. We so often love to blame the politics, blame the religion, blame our parents, blame our siblings, parents. Oh my gosh, it's so easy.
My parents are my favorite to blame. My mom.
Who is it?
My mom. She's my favorite.
But once you stop giving the external world the power over you, and you claim the power back, which is my book, Powerful Beyond Measure, the power within ourselves, that you then realize that you are this powerful creator, and that you now have the control on what you're creating in your life. And show us your book. I want to show it a couple of times while we're on the interview anyways. Isn't that great? Victorious on top. I love it. Yeah. And of course, your book is for all ages and both genders, and, just a book that we all can really utilize. And I encourage you. Why don't you tell them now how you can find it? We're going to talk a little bit more about other things, but why don't you go ahead and tell them where they can find it?
Well, you can find it on Amazon, or you can visit actually the championmindset.ca, and there's a free course you can download if you order a copy with that too.
Oh, great. That's wonderful. That's great. Well, so let's dig a little bit deeper. What are some things that you've manifested in your life most recently?
The most exciting thing that's happening right now, and it's all coming together, is this. It's always been my dream to be away for a Canadian winter, to be traveling and to be able to work from anywhere. And so right now I'm with actually a business partner of mine, and we're staying at a beach house in Texas, and we're just living the life. We get to, wake up and spend the day together creating and coaching and being outside on the beach, and it feels like a dream come true. And it's so powerful, because I think the biggest thing along my journey that's always been important to me is to do what I love, but to be, when you leverage the law of attraction, it doesn't have to be a struggle, right? I did not put in 60-hour weeks to get here. It has been flowing and continuously unfolding, and I've been enjoying the process versus like working for years and then, when I retire, then I'll enjoy my life.
Right. You use the word flow, which I use a lot, and I use it as the universal flow. And it's kind of like, to me, that when you when you become more used to this mentality, this expectation, this energy that you emit, almost like perspiration, I call it, or perfume or aroma, but really it's really that, that strutting around, that it's that energy of love and gratitude and knowing blessings are going to befall upon you. You're just so enriched with love and so appreciative for all of that so much more comes back to you. But that what happens is that when you have clear directionality of passion and what you really want to do, that the universe, like the wind at your back, like the river stream's current, the ocean, is pushing you forward. It's sometimes so fast, I've even said to the universe, oh, can you slow down? I've had like 40 miracles today. I don't know if I can keep up with them. Seriously, but it's like the universe is supporting you in the flow of your wonderful, amazing life. And I know for some people that are listening to this, they're thinking, you don't know what you're talking about. That is impossible, because they're living in a place. And I'm not judging you, but there's some people I know many that I talk to all the time on Facebook, and clients and things and students that have a hard time to even imagine such a place in their life, right?
Yeah. Yes. Go ahead.
I was just going to, and I want to let all of you know that it's nothing you can buy. It's available to every single one of us. We all have the capabilities, and it's there for us because it lives within us. And you have to learn how to own it, how to utilize it, how to implement it, and how to connect with that energy of the universe, this law of attraction of energy that allows and supports and promotes it for you.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that is so interesting to talk about. And I like to say is like, I don't have anything special that anybody else doesn't have. Like, I'm just a normal human being and my life feels easy to me, but it's because I've trained myself into this place, like you said, of expectation and I'm very deliberate. I'm very conscious and aware of what I'm focusing on, because I know the results. I know that when you focus in this area, you're going to get these results. And when you focus in this area, you're going to get things that match that. And so anybody can learn this, just like you said, and can leverage it. And it is hard to understand when you're not in that place, like your absolute power that's available to you, but just start. Right? Like just start somewhere and then follow and trust that path to unfold in front of you.
Right. I love that. So what is something people can do to make a positive difference in their life so that they can really start on this path of journey of moving forward into manifestation?
Well, they can read our books.
That's right.
One of the most important things, and it's so foundational to even still my own life and continuing this, is getting really good at appreciation. And I know it sometimes gets over talked about and it's cliche, but it is so powerful. And even if there is always one thing to be appreciative of, no matter where you're at in your life. And if you can tune into that, then that will begin a shift. It's
true. And again, everything is perception. Perception started back when we were in utero, what was our perception in growing within our mother's belly. And it continues on. And so it's our perception as a child, how we felt we were in the role of the family, where what we had to do to feel loved and liked and appreciated. And that under that understanding came with us. And so we are here now as more of an adult, whether you're a teenager or middle age or more in the later years. We won't even call them golden years. But that
the best years.
But it's really a journey, and there's a learning curve to this, because as we're learning, we're in one age group or one section of our life, and our lesson there is different than when we're 50. And so it's amazing how our opportunities continue to grow as we grow in age and learn. If we haven't learned our lessons when we were 20, we might still be learning them when we're 50.
Yeah. They are infinite.
Exactly. And they build upon each other. So again, choosing to look at our perception of what we're learning and what's experiencing in our life, and being grateful for those blessings and even the struggles, because our struggles make us stronger. It really is a wonderful, wonderful part of our path.
Absolutely.
So what do you think is the most important aspect or the learning that they need to employ to really get the results? I know you talked about feelings.
Yeah. So the most important would be developing your awareness. Okay. So we can't even begin to change our thinking, our thoughts, or our feelings, or find appreciation if we don't first know what we're thinking about. Like, we come back to that self-talk in the head. Well, if you don't catch yourself thinking and focusing in this way, there's no way to change it. And so that's the first thing. That's where to start, is to say, okay, well, what am I focused on? How do I think about that? And then kind of step back and say, is that what I want? Is that what I want to be focusing on?
It's true. It's very true. I've had many people say, oh, I'm such a positive person. And then we continue on, and I tell them, every time I hear a negative whatever, even a negative word in a sentence that's supposed to be positive, it turns it negative. And I'd put a coin in the jar, and before you know, the jar is all full. And she goes, how did that happen? I said, because you don't realize how much negativity is infused in your language, your behavior.
That's the biggest thing. Yeah. Bringing awareness to that. And then once you have awareness of it, if you start to realize, okay, well, that's where I'm creating from. Yeah. And then you can change it.
Exactly. I love that. So is there a daily practice that you could give as a tidbit that's maybe in your book and that would kind of entice people to want to look at it?
My book? Absolutely. Well, one of the biggest things in my book that people give me feedback for is the difference between, that I explain between gratitude and appreciation. So if you want to know that, go and get the book. But one of the biggest things, I think, is having a daily practice. So I work with all my clients. They all do this, and they have a set time in their day where they're training their focus. And it's about shifting that focus onto more onto what you want, and practicing that. Like we talked about, the consistency. So there's a lot of writing. If you've heard a podcast that I have with my co-host, Manifest It Now, we talk about scripting a lot. And that is what a lot of our clients do, is writing things down as if they've already happened. So that would be one of those kind of daily tools that you can learn about.
Right. And the more we can do things in different variety of ways, writing. So it comes pen to paper. You have to process that to write it down. You have to be clear to write it down, to be articulate, to be able to verbalize and then restate aloud what you've written is another thing, because now your voice, that energy from you comes out into the world, is heard. It's not even stuck on the paper. Yeah. So all of these things, the more we can to get and generate our energy outward into what we want to create, is what's going to help bring that back to you. Absolutely. Well, this has been really exciting, Jenny. Do you have anything, parting words or a quote that you'd like to leave our audience with?
You can do it. I got to get that picture of you can do it.
Yeah. Yes. That's really funny that you said it, because I just had a workshop and someone that was attending my workshops actually sent me that text with that woman on it. I thought that was hilarious. And that was just a couple days ago. See how the universe
I was going to say, that's exactly
there. And actually, I just babysat my granddaughter, who's only 4 months old, this past weekend. Aww. And the outfit I took out of her closet was a black onesie with pants, a onesie, which is like a t-shirt that has the crotch to it too. Yeah. For those of you who don't know onesies. And the woman with the arm, like, yes, I got it. Was on it.
That's a perfect example. Of how the law of attraction works.
Yeah. And she had actually just gone on a walk for people who have ataxia. Apraxia, not walking, apraxia, so difficult speaking. And she had a co-friend of a child who had trouble, and they were giving these t-shirts out for different sizes for this walk to realize how important speaking is, and to bring that awareness. But isn't that amazing how that figure has now come up multiple times in my life? And so I'm going to take that as a message back to you. saying, you got this, girl, go at it. You know?
Do it. Yes.
And to all of you listening, you have it too. So why don't you show us your book one more time and tell us your website one more?
My website is ginnygane.com. So just my name.com.
Great. And they can get your book at the website?
thechampionmindset.ca.
Yeah, great. So thank you so much for being here. This has really been fun. And I really believe that anyone that's listening to this interview, remember, the universe is already responding. Law of attraction has brought you to hear this interview. And so it's already magically starting in your life. And it's up to you whether you take the next step forward. So thank you for being here. Thank you, Ginny, and much success in your travels and your book and your passion.
Thank you so much, Cindy.
You're welcome. And this is Cynthia Mazzaferro again with Powerful Beyond Measure. Find your power within yourself and allow the law of attraction to help bring and manifest all that you desire in your life. God's will. Take care. Many blessings to you all.